Hey, what's going on, good folks of YouTube? This is Keith, and you're watching Barber's Auto Help. Today I've got my '05 Honda Odyssey here with a 3.5 in it, and we're going to be going over the water pump replacement. And now this video, guys, I'm going to start out right at the water pump there. I'm not going to be showing how to take the timing components off. I do have a video on that. I'll have a link down in the description below to that video. Please watch it before you get into this one. Also, once it becomes available, I'll have another link to a video showing how to put the timing components and the timing belt back on. So once it's available, I'll have that link down in the description also. It may already be there, depends on when you watch this video. All right, let's get into it, guys. After your vehicle is completely cooled and it's been sitting for at least 2 to 3 hours, take and open your radiator cap, first by placing a towel over it to protect yourself, and do it cautiously and slowly, always keeping a little bit of pressure on it to make sure it doesn't spew out on you. You always got to be careful about that. Alright, once you got your radiator cap off, then you can go ahead and open your pepcock on the bottom of the radiator and drain your coolant. Okay, your pepcock on this one, I'm going to go in through the passenger side wheel well here. It's right up in here towards the front there. Let me get some light on that for you. And you can see it right there on the bottom of the radiator, just forward of the AC compressor there. So turn that counterclockwise and have a catch pan up underneath it, of course, and drain your coolant. And by the way, you can get to it up underneath the front end. And you can see I got it draining right there, but you can stick your hand right through there, and that pepcock's right in that area right there. You can just turn it counterclockwise and it'll start to leak out. Alright, at this point here, we are ready to take the water pump off. It's held in by 5 10mm bolts at this time. We're going to go ahead and loosen those. And be sure you have your catch pan up underneath, because there is going to be some coolant to leak out when you take the water pump off. Alright, at this point here, if you don't want to cause a big splash, you can let it sit there and drip on its own until it stops, or you can just go ahead and take it off. I'm going to give it a gentle pry. Try to catch all that now. Rest of that gasket material there. Alright, now you can probably see that I got some residue and stuff built up around where that water pump mated up with the block here, and we're going to have to get rid of that. And I'm going to take a razor blade and I'm just going to not gouge the surface, I'm just running it diagonally across the surface there, just to kind of scrape off some of that crud and whatnot. I'm not gouging the surface, I'm not gouging into the metal. I'm just scraping the crud off the surface there is all I'm doing. See that right there? So I'm going to keep doing that until I got my surface perfectly clean. Okay, so now I got the entire mating surface of the where the water pump meets the block there cleaned up with a razor blade. Now I'm going to take this red scouring pad and just lightly scuff up the surface there to get any residual gasket material or crud or whatever off of there. You probably won't be able to find this. However, you can use the green scouring pads for washing dishes. And it worked just fine. Just go light on it. You're not going to gouge the surface to death or anything, but you do want to scuff it up to make it nice and clean. Alright, I'm just going to take that scouring pad and scruff it up real good. Get any foreign material or debris off of there. Make sure I get a nice clean mating surface. Okay, now I'm just going to take a lint-free rag and I'm just going to wipe down the entire mating surface. Just get it nice and dry and nice and clean before I go to put that water pump on. I got the entire mating surface cleaned up. As you can see, it's nice and shiny. There's no foreign material on there, no debris, none of that. I'm going to stuff my rag down in there, soak some more of that coolant up. I like it to be nice and clean and dry. Alright, so here's the new water pump. We got to go ahead and put our gasket in there. You can see you got this little inlaid section right here. That's where you're going to put your gasket in there. It's going to snap into place. You see those little divots? It'll hold the gasket into place there. So we'll go ahead and put that gasket in. So we got our gasket in. I just took and pressed along the edge here where those little divots are and made sure that the gasket's all the way inside that little inlay area right there, all the way around. And it is. And you don't really need any RTV or sealant for this. This gasket's going to do the trick. As long as your mating surface down there is nice and clean and your gasket's installed correctly, it'll seal. Okay, now you see on this side of the water pump here, you have several different holes and different size holes. These bigger holes here are going to be for the engine mount bracket. Those bolt holes are going to go, or those bolts are going to go through those holes. Of course, the bracket's going to go on first before we put those bolts in. But the other small bolt holes are going to take those smaller water pump bolts that we took off before. So we're going to put those on first, go ahead and get those torqued down, and then we're going to put our timing belt on, and then we'll put our engine mount bracket on the front here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and snake our water pump down there into place to the top here. And you'll notice on the back side we got a couple of dowels on the back side of this pump here where it makes up the engine block. We're just going to set it into place to where those dowels match up. Alright, so we got our dowels in place and we're flush up against the surface there. And we're going to take one of our bolts, and there's going to be 5 bolts that look like this one right here. They go on the outskirts of the water pump. We'll start with this hole right here. Just go ahead and put it in finger tight. And by the way, I'm constantly holding pressure on the water pump with my palm so that it doesn't accidentally fall down. Alright, once you get one bolt ran down all the way by hand, you can let go. And then you can go ahead and run your other bolts down by hand. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we'll just fast forward here. Now we got to torque down our bolts. And you'll need to reference your repair manual for the torque specification on this. Alright, so I got that one tight. Usually what I like to do when I'm tightening down water pump bolts is I like to tighten them down in a staggered pattern. I'll go with this one, then I'll go over here to this one, tighten that one up, come down here to that one, come on up here to this one, and then finally tighten that one up there. So I'm going to go ahead and torque down the rest of these. I'm just not going to show it because it's kind of redundant, but you want to torque down each one of these to the manufacturer's specification as outlined in your repair manual. Well guys, that does it for this video. As mentioned earlier, I've got a link to another video showing how to take the timing components off to get down to the water pump. I'm also going to have a video showing how to put all that stuff back together whenever that video is available. I have a link down in the description to it. It may already be there. Like I said, depending upon when you're watching this video, it may or may not be there. I am working very diligently and hard to get those things out there for you. Also, didn't mention this earlier, but the pepcock down there, go ahead and tighten it back up. after it's all drained out, just put it finger tight. You don't have to put a wrench on it or anything. The thing's made of plastic, so not a whole lot of torque is needed to tighten that thing up to where it won't leak. And then, of course, after you get your timing components on and your timing cover on and everything reassembled on the engine, you'll need to fill and bleed the cooling system. If you have any questions, just ask down below, guys. Thank you again for watching, and please like and subscribe.